So hello guys, welcome. This video is in continuation of my previous videos about passage planning. So before we have discussed all the important aspects, in this video we are going to talk about nav warnings. So just to revise you that my voyage was from Indonesia to Spain, from Kuala Tanjung to Vigo. So here you can see this is a world map where you can see the areas are divided, or the world is divided into so many nav areas. These are all different nav areas. We don't have to worry about all the nav areas. We only look after the nav areas in which we are going to sail. We just have to worry about this. So in my present voyage, we are going to pass through nav area 8, 9, 3 and 2. So let's start. Vessel position is over here. I am near Gulf of Aden. I have already transited this area. I am making this video once my voyage has already commenced. So I am not going to show from the beginning. Now this is nav area 9. I have already plotted the warnings. In 2 days time, my vessel will be transiting this area. This is my route. In 2 days time, my vessel will be transiting this one. This is nav area 3. So let's see what all things I'll do and how do I plot my nav warnings. Let's start. So this chart is on bridge. Here you can see we are in nav area 9. We are going to enter into nav area 3. So as a good practice, I always select my future or my next nav area beforehand. So you have to go to Inmarsat C and select your next nav area. 1 or 2 day prior, not much more prior than that. 1 or 2 day prior that you can always select your next nav area. So nav area 9 was already selected. Now here I have written nav area 3 because we are going to enter into nav area 3 after 2 days. So I'll update this and I'll wait for nav warnings. Now in my company I have a provision for these nav warnings. Every week I'm receiving. So I already have nav warnings. I'll take printout. So if you don't want, you can just wait. Once you have selected the nav area, you will also receive those nav warnings in your Inmarsat C itself. But as I have a provision from my company itself, so I'll take a printout of all these nav warnings and I'll start plotting them. So when you have these nav warnings and suppose that these nav warnings are not in your route, so never do this select all and write not in route. Never do this. This has been observation in past that people have selected all the nav warnings. They are not in route. They have common out all those and written that. Always individually write your nav warnings, whatever it is, not in route or off route or cancelled or whatever is the reason. Just like this, each nav warnings must be written and signed beside it, just like I'm writing it now. You must do this for each nav warning. As these nav warnings are not in my route, so I'm writing this for each one but individually. So the next thing is enforced list. As you can see over it here, this is enforced list for nav area 3. Like in this nav area, there are so many warnings. You can see the numbers. There are so many warnings which are there. How do we keep a track that which nav warning I have plotted, which nav warning I have not plotted? So the best thing which I have learned from my second mates, for example, like this nav warning 0043, which is 30 nautical miles from my route. So I have plotted this nav warning. As you can see over here, nav 30043/21. I have written over here, plotted, I've signed over here. Now what will I do? I'll come back to my first page, my enforced list page. I'll encircle that. This is just my symbology, means I have done this. So I have encircled those which I have plotted. Most of the times you would see that most of the nav warnings are not in your route. So that's why I was telling this, that 009, as you can see, /21. This all and 0043. Only these two nav warnings were coming in my route. Rest no other nav warnings were coming. So I've encircled them just to indicate that these nav warnings are plotted. Rest all warnings not in route, noted, keep clear. These warnings are just for reference. So we don't need to do anything. I've just kept them like this. But those nav warnings which I've plotted, I've just do encircle in the enforced list. So this is easier for me. Now if a nav warning get cancelled, now the best thing I'll do is I'll just put a cross on the enforced list. I'll come back to my first page, I'll put a cross and I'll delete the nav warning. So that's what we do. That's how I keep a track which all nav warnings are there. And this is my nav area user map. For every nav warning, I'll create a user map. Now the next thing is checking off all the nav warnings. As you can see, I've written not in route because this is my route from Suez Canal. I'm going north of Malta and going there. So this nav warning was coming somewhere around here. So this is well clear of my route, more than 100 nautical miles. So I don't need to plot it. So I'll come down over here, write not in route, sign, go to next page. So that's how you have to check individually all the nav warnings. Same, again, this is Ionian Sea, this nav warning 37 degree. This is my route. Again, this is well clear of my route. I'll come down and write not in route and sign it. So it is not necessary that all the nav warnings will be for your route. So just check in your company's manual. This nav warning is also Ionian Sea 36 degree latitude. It is also not in my route. If your company manual does not say anything, normally take plus or minus 50 nautical mile from your route and only plot those nav warnings. So I've completed all my nav warnings. I've checked each and every one. I've completed this. So you can see most of the warnings were not in my route, as you can see in the list. Those which were to be noted, I've written noted. Those which were to be plotted, I've written plotted. So that's how I've checked each and every one. Most of the nav warnings were not in my route. Only few of them were in my route, which I have already marked in my enforced list. On the starting page, I have encircled them which were plotted. Only 4 warnings were there which were to be plotted. Rest no warnings were there in my route. So let me show you my route. So this is my route from Suez Canal. I'll be coming through north of Malta and going towards there and going to Gibraltar. So that's my route. This whole area is nav area 3. So I don't need to plot for the whole area. If your future voyage is within this area, if you are going to sail within nav area 3, of course you will check other nav warnings. But if not, then do not check for the whole nav areas. For example, for here north of Sardinia or here Ionian Sea, you don't need to check all this. All of this nav area warnings you don't need to plot. Just come over here, check which warnings are coming towards to a route plus or minus 50 nautical mile. As example, this Ionian Sea, Black Sea, this over here or near to the Corsia port. All these warnings are not in your route, so you don't need to plot them. Even if you are going for wetting, Adriatic Sea, you don't need to plot such warnings. If your voyage is within this area, yes, you can plot them. But if you are just passing through the area, just plot the warnings which are within your route plus or minus 50 nautical mile. Not all warnings. So now on the next day, I have received all my nav warnings through SATC also, as we have earlier selected this nav area 3 in SATC. So this is nav warnings. So this is for those people who does not have such facility of receiving message through company. So you will receive your nav warnings through SATC also. So you will just take it out, put it on chart table, check which all nav warnings are there or applicable for you or not. Now as I already know that these warnings are applicable or not applicable, I'll continue to write down each and individual nav warnings, sign them. This is nav area enforced list. This you must have, as this will tell us that how many nav area warnings are there, how many nav area warnings are still present. So that's, you must have this. This is very important. Enforced list. For each nav area you have enforced list. So I'll continue to write down not in route or en route or noted. So I've read all my nav warnings. Now I will make an entry in my GMDSS logbook. So the first thing is date and time. So I'll come down, check over here, this 12:03 UTC. This is the time on 21st November. So write 21st November 2021 12:03. Now next is station 2. Here you will write down all stations. Now station from. Now here either you can write down this LES 340 or you can just write down the nav area coordinator. Just write down this is from nav area coordinator. Each nav warnings are always given through a nav area coordinator. You can write down this, so not a problem. So once you have written this, now I will write down all my nav warnings number wise. Nav area 3 warning number this, and in such a manner I'll continue to write down all my nav warnings. So that's how you make an entry into GMDSS logbook also. This is also very important. So this gives an idea to wetting inspector or any inspector that before entering into area, before entering into nav area, you were already having the nav warnings, or you at least started receiving those nav warnings. So I'll continue to write down this, sign. And this is also very important that you must write from where you received those nav warnings. So we received on SATC, so I'll write down SATC. So that's a complete entry into GMDSS logbook about nav warnings. So this is my vessel's current position. I'm over here. My vessel is in Mediterranean Sea, so that's nav area 3. So almost after 2 days, I'll be coming out of Gibraltar and going to Spain. This area, whole area, this is nav area 2. So now again the same thing we'll do. We are already in nav area 3. I will select nav area 2 also prior entering into that area on my SATC. So here I have selected nav area 2. I have updated this. If I have to show you on chart, We are presently in nav area 3 Spain. Now we'll be going to nav area 2 France. So that's the nav area we are going to enter. Now you can see again I'll be checking my company's message, and I already have this nav area 2 warnings, so I'll print this out. Now I will show you another method by which we can receive nav warnings. So if you have internet on board, then this is the second method by which you can receive nav warnings. Just come on Google, write down nav area warnings, for example nav area 2 warnings. You will see a website and you will receive those nav warnings. As of now I have not seen a single site for all the nav warnings. Each nav area has different sites. So if you'll just come down to Google, you'll write over here, you'll receive those, you can check the website. Same for nav area 9, I've just written nav area 9 warning infos. This is the site, and here I can get all the nav area 9 warnings. Nav area 3 I've written down, and here this is the site, and here I can get all the nav warnings. So each nav area has different websites. You can just come on Google and write down if you want to receive the nav warnings via internet. So one more thing, when you're plotting nav warnings, you don't have to just worry about the present route, but also take into account the future route. For example, my vessel will be coming to port of Spain Vigo, and then after that we are going for Rotterdam. If I'll just zoom out, that's my route. Once my vessel come to Spain, after that we are going to Rotterdam. So there is a warning over here, this over here, these two places. So I will plot them taking into account that my future route will pass through over here, or my future route may pass through over here. So whenever you are plotting nav warnings, don't just think about the present route, but also if you have an upcoming voyages, if you have in your hand, take those also into consideration and plot your nav warning as per that also, because it will be easier for you, so that you don't have to again recheck all the nav warnings again when you receive a new voyage. Now, as many of you have told me to practically show how do I plot nav warning, so this is very simple. This is now very ECDIS specific. So in this ECDIS I'm showing you, I just make a new user map. As you can see, I'm making this new user map of nav area 2. I just name them as simple as they can be. So this is my nav warning, nav area 2 251/21. So I'm going to plot this. So I'll write down the name of the nav warning also in same manner, nav area 2 251/21. So this is my nav warning. I'll name it as it is, and in the description I will write down the basic or the very small version of its scientific mooring buoy in place. That's all I need to write, so that if anyone sees the chart, they can know that something of such information is there on the chart. So that's how I create a nav warning, or that's how I plot a nav warning on my user map. So this is very ECDIS specific. So once I've plotted that, as I've told earlier also, that I'll write down it is plotted, I'll sign it, and as what I practice, that whenever I plot a nav warning, I will encircle it, so it's very easy for me to identify from the summary list itself that which nav warning is plotted and which is not. Now just to show you, as you can see, this is my one more nav warning, which is for gunnery practice exercise 33 degree and 8 degree west. So as my route is coming through here Gibraltar and we are going north, my next voyage will also be from Spain to Rotterdam, but this particular warning is 33 degree north. So if I'll move my cursor over here, and 8 degree west. So this nav warning is for some place over here, gunnery practice exercise. So it's very far from my route, and it is not going to come in my next voyage also. So I'm not going to plot that. I just write not in route. So that was all from my side about nav warnings. How do you plot them? When do you plot them? Which one do you plot? How do you make entries into nav warnings? How do you make entries into GMDSS logbooks? So I hope it was of some use to you. Thank you.